Hello and welcome once again to Schenectady Online with Joe Kelleher. Good, welcome, and it's good to have you back. We missed last week's segment, but we're doing a special edition today, and we're going to introduce our special guest here in just a few moments. Lots of things happening in the city race and in the city politics and in the city itself, and we've got a lot of events we're going to mention here in just a little bit. But one of the things I do want to say is thank you to all the folks who always come up and see me, send me notes, and say hello. We really, really appreciate you being out there. We appreciate you watching and promoting the show. It means a lot to us. And just getting the word out in itself is really a huge, huge benefit, not only to myself, but to Schenectady Access Cable Council, and letting people know that they have an opportunity to speak, that they have a voice, and we've got lots and lots more to do until the city is the way that we really want it to be. Don't be afraid to step out. That's what we're all here for. Well, folks, my special guest today is a member of the City Council. I've had the pleasure of knowing him and talking to him for a few years now, and it is my honor to introduce you to Councilman Vince Riggi. Vince, great to have you on board with us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. I've been trying to get you on the show here a couple times now.
While. Busy schedules. Being a council is...
You're busy?
Yes.
Oh, we see you out every place.
Yeah.
And Linda and I see you and Donna out almost every time we go somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's so great to see you out there, and people know you and know who you are. And why don't you tell me very quickly about how things are in City Council? You've been on there how many years now?
The end of this year will be my third year.
Third year.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yep.
And you ran under one of the big lines that you got under, if I'm not mistaken, is the Alliance Party line.
I had the Alliance Party endorsement, the Republican Party endorsement.
Great.
And I was lucky enough to, finish third, but what I'm most proud of is I finished third to the top vote getter by 160 votes, I think, and that person had 4 lines, and I had 2 lines. So that's one thing I'm most proud of. People have a lot of confidence in me, and I will never betray that confidence they put in me. So that's why you see me out all the time in different places, because, as you know, we're council people at large, and not aldermen like Albany has and some other cities have. So we represent the whole city, not just one certain section of the city.
So, and I'm glad that you mentioned that too, because a lot of people, when they come up to me, they ask me which section of the city do different people represent. And I have to explain to them that they're at large seats. Each one of the members of the City Council represent the entire city as a whole.
Yep, that's all.
So, speaking about that, I mean, I know my wife was able to make it at an event that you just had, and it was regarding Mike Miata.
Yep.
Tell us about that, please.
Well, for people that have been in Schenectady a long, long time, Schenectady Little League was a powerhouse in Little League nationally in the 50s, especially and 60s. But in the 50s, they took 3 teams to Williamsport within a 7-year period, which is like unheard of. And they just missed taking a 4th team there by 1 game in 1952. Wow. And Mike Miata was the coach, and he was a founder of Schenectady Little League. He passed away in 1998, but he put almost 50 years into the youth of Schenectady. And he didn't have a male child. He had a daughter. So he wasn't doing it for the reasons a lot of us do, and myself included. I coached because I had a son that was playing. So Mike did it for all the right reasons, and he put his heart and soul into Little League, and he knew more about baseball than anybody I've ever met. He was just a very, very special man, and I'm glad to call him my friend and happy to call him my friend, but he taught me a lot, not just about baseball. I mean, he knew all worldly things. He was a very in-tune man, and just a humble man too.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, they just they named the street after him, correct?
Yes, that was Wednesday. We had a renaming of the street right by Schenectady Little League, a small portion of Norwood Avenue, so there was no homes affected, so no one had to worry about changing their address on their driver's licenses or credit cards or anything like that. But right now it's called Mike Miata Way, so it'll be a lasting tribute to this man.
So it's that little stretch right off the break from Michigan.
Correct, from California to Schuyler Street it is. So if you came off the ramp at Michigan Avenue, right there would be Mike Miata Way towards the high school, 1 block. and it's Mike Way, and
How
that'll be
wonderful
there
is
forever.
that? That's
oh, it's
incredible.
terrific. And I know Mike,
Yeah.
you know, if he was alive, he wouldn't probably, he's so humble that I don't think he would have probably liked this at this time.
Oh.
But now in his passing, it's something that a lot of people said, and what made it even more important to me, I had this on my mind for a long time. And once I got on the city council, I was able at least to push this forward.
Good.
And what really cemented in my mind this had to be done, when I brought it to my council colleagues at a committee meeting, no one at the table knew who I was talking about, because they were all obviously younger than me.
Right.
But that really told me we need something solid that this man can be remembered for what he did for the youth of Schenectady.
And this is just one of the many things that in Schenectady's history that we have an opportunity to celebrate. And to do this for Mike is just a phenomenal tribute.
Oh, yeah, and it's great. And it's on the, just so you know, it was on the exact 60th anniversary of the day that they won the World Championship.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So a lot of history right here,
Yeah.
and the kids should be very proud.
Yeah.
And I've seen what the folks at the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association have done
They did a
to
great
beautify
job.
that area.
They beautified the area. It was a good team effort.
Absolutely.
And everything went. But what was really nice was all the old ball players that played at Schenectady and played for Mike, all the stories that were going around. It was really a great day, a great couple of hours. And I wish I could have stood there for the rest of the day and just traded stories, because everybody had a great story to tell, and people were meeting each other. I saw one fellow that I haven't seen since high school that played on the 1959 team. So.
Well, I saw at the last city council meeting that I was at that they came right behind where you in fact gave the resolution.
Yes.
To that,
yes.
And it was absolutely incredible, and what a memorable experience that in itself.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes.
And that's, since 1947, Little League is 75 years old, so he started in 1939 in Williamsport. But they started the World Series in 1947. So since 1947 until today, which is about 67 years, only 2 teams in New York State won the World Championship, and Schenectady is one of them. Schenectady in 1954 and Staten Island in 1964. That's it for New York State in all those years, in 67 years. It's quite an accomplishment.
It's a huge
and they came
accomplishment.
Within one run of winning in 53. They got beat
goodness.
1-0 in the finals. So it's just, there's a lot of history, and Mike is a great man.
I think we've got enough talent that we can make that happen again here in Schenectady.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Well, moving right along and talking more so about some of the things happening up at City Council. I know that you have spoken and several people have spoken, and I don't want to go too deep into this issue, as we've spoken before, about the Schenectady Animal Control and things happening up with the dogs. And what's the latest on that? Have you?
The latest is the police command staff are going to put together a proposal to answer some of these questions that have come up, and they're going to present it to us. It won't be at this committee cycle. It's going to be at the next committee cycle. So I think that's the 15th of September.
Okay.
It'll be a week from this Monday, and or I'm sorry, 2 weeks from this Monday, and basically, there's a lot of questions that have come up, how the operation is run, how it is manned, and that's my concerns. Is it manned correctly? Because we're doing everything kind of like with a skeleton crew, and is that correct? It's supposed to be, Joe, it's supposed to be a short-term facility.
Right. If
they pick up a stray, it goes there until we find the owner, or if we don't find the owner, if we can get it placed, or unfortunately sometimes they get euthanized, and that's where the issues come up. But for some dogs, it's become a long-term facility. There's one dog that's been in there since the 25th of June, I believe.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And that's still being resolved as far as is the dog going to be charged, not be charged, because there's a question of whether it bit a child or not. So there's a gray area there. But I think my feelings on it is this: if it can't be just a short-term facility, what it's designed to be, then we should either look to board these dogs out if they're going to be in there longer than the 7 days, and I think 7 days may even be too long. Or basically the way I feel about it is, if we're going to be in that business, it's mandated that we have this, but we can also outsource this to a kennel. So if we can't do it right, the way I feel about it is we shouldn't do it at all. We either do it the right way or outsource it. And money shouldn't be a big factor here, although money is important.
Of course.
But when we talk about humanity and humane treatment of our animals, I think that's very important. They have to be treated that way.
Absolutely, and a lot of the folks that came up to the city council meeting spoke just on that issue alone, and that was such a main concern for them.
Yeah.
So it's it'd be interesting to see if we can get some volunteers in there at some point.
Well, that is what's going to be addressed by the command staff.
Good.
I think they're going to look at the legal issues of having volunteers to help, which we certainly could use.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what's going to be addressed at this next committee cycle, which will be a week from this Tuesday's our Labor Day. Nothing goes on, so Tuesday will be our committee meeting, so it'll be 2 weeks from then, but it'll be on Monday. So.
And I'm glad that you answered that question for me, because I was going to mention that since the Labor Day is a holiday, falls on the Monday. It goes
Any
on
Monday
Tuesday.
Holidays, Joe, if it's a committee or council meeting, they're the following day.
Great.
And basically, as you know, committee meetings are the first and third Monday of the month.
Yes.
And council meetings are the third and fourth Mondays of the month.
Yep, we've mentioned that on the show here a couple times.
That's good to know, because some people get confused.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes if there's a fifth Monday, there's nothing.
Right.
So we get a week off. It's maybe 3 times a year, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Is it nice to have that little break?
Oh, yeah, it helps.
Yeah,
It helps.
I'm sure that it
Usually my
does.
phone's ringing, so I'm on city business with something else, but that's okay, because they're watching a rerun.
That's right. That's right. There's always something going on.
Yeah.
And speaking of the city council meetings and such, I know that you and I have spoken, and a lot of people have come to me and asked me, and I'm sure that they have asked you too, about the upcoming city council race.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of folks are confused, I think, from different things that they've read, that since there are 4 people running for the two, the people think that there are 4 people running for the 2 seats, kind of like what happened last year's election, where there were 3 seats and there were 6 people running. But
the easiest way, I think, Joe, to explain this is it's 2 city council races, not a city council race.
yes,
It's going to be 2 separate seats, so they'll be voting on this. 1 seat is for 1 term.
Right.
The 1-term seat, which you were running for against Ed Kosher.
Right.
And the second seat is the one that Carl Erickson vacated a few weeks ago, and that's for 3 years.
Right.
The rest of his term, which is 3 years, and that will be Bob Barnes versus John Ferrari.
Right.
And we'll see if the Republicans may put up the Republican Party may put up another candidate. They may cross-endorse one of those 2 candidates.
Yes.
Right now, I don't know how that's going to work out. So that's the way that's going to be. So when people go to the polls, they're going to be voting. It isn't going to be the top 2 vote
that's
getters,
right.
as it is most of the time.
Yes.
It will be A versus B or C versus D, and that's the way it's going to be.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And and I'm glad that you said that. No, that's exactly how I've been explaining to people too. 2 separate races in November, folks. And the 1 seat is for 1 year. The other seat is for 3 years, and it's the balance of the seat. It's the balance of the term that Carl Erickson just vacated.
And Ed Kosher was appointed to Denise Brucker's seat.
Exactly.
She
Thank you.
resigned.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, so that's how that came about.
Right.
And Denise Brucker ran when I ran almost 3 years ago, so that's how that came about. So her term ends next year, as my term ends at the end of next year, 2015. Right. So that's why that seat will be for 1 year, and then if that person cares to run again, they run again in 2015.
And I'm not going to ask you about your aspirations for next year yet. We'll talk about that.
I don't really have any aspirations right now. I'm going one day at a time. I'm here for what I was elected to be, a city council person.
And you're doing a fine job at it too.
I'm doing my best.
Appreciate that. Yep. So what else is happening as far as the city is concerned that you think the people should know about or?
I think the big thing coming up right now will be
the budget.
Yes,
the budget. Yeah.
That will be coming up the end of September. By October 1st, the mayor should present the budget to the city council, and then we generally spend the month, almost the whole month of October, with separate meetings going over department by department, line by line, the city budget.
So now, if I'm not mistaken, Carl Erickson was in charge of the finance committee, right? Yes. So now who's holding that part of it as far as the budget is concerned?
The new chair of finance committee is Peggy King.
Okay.
So she's the chair of finance.
Okay.
For this go around.
And there's if I'm I'm thinking about the assessment area where there's some stuff happening right now, but as far as finance in the city, who's in charge of the finance department? Just so
the finance department is Deb DeGenova.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the finance director of finance for the city.
Okay.
And she'll work with her deputy, who is Anthony Ferrari, John Ferrari's father.
Thank you.
To put this together.
That's what I was trying to put all those pieces in place there. I was looking
Yeah.
at an article the other day,
Yeah.
and I think something was mentioned that John Ferrari was the deputy commissioner of finance. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that was
Anthony Ferrari is the deputy commissioner.
Right. Yeah.
John is his son. He's the one who was going to run for this Carl Erickson seat.
Right. I think though that there was something mentioned in the paper that it was a little there was a misunderstanding where there was also the business owner, the restaurant owner, John Ferrari, and that he was the deputy commissioner of finance, and I think it was misunderstood there.
Actually it isn't. Anthony Ferrari, being the deputy commissioner of finance for the city, also is a partner in Ferrari's restaurant.
Oh, I see. Okay,
yes.
So that makes a little more sense there.
Yes.
Okay.
With his brother Joe and his brother Vince.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a family-run business. Been there for many years.
It has been. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, was it Joe that had his 25th anniversary back a couple of he and his wife?
I think it was.
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
25th anniversary.
Yeah.
I remember seeing them over at the Polish American festival over at St. Adalbert's. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun up over that way too. So, in fact, I saw. I think it was Joe that we saw up over that way, and I mentioned we got to get over there to the restaurant one of these days again. So it's just phenomenal place.
Yep, they've been there a long time.
Yeah,
family-run business.
So with the budget now, this is a little bit different than the CDBG budget.
Yes.
This
is the city budget.
Right.
So every department is funded through the city budget.
Right.
So you go department by the mayor's office, the clerk's office, general services, parks and recreation. They're all broken down.
Right.
Sewer, water, it's all broken down.
So and the reason I mentioned that was because, back in the spring, they had the consolidated plan.
Right.
Which is a lot of people don't understand that there's a difference between the two of those.
Yeah.
So this is for all the operations. This budget is city budget.
Everybody's salary is covered in this.
Gotcha.
All the salaries, all the benefits that are paid out. So it's revenue and expenses. That's what it is.
Of course.
Yeah.
Then the revenue is brought in by the taxes, of course.
Most of it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that I'm sure that you get, because I get it all the time, is people asking why our taxes are so high here in the city of Schenectady.
Well, one of the main reasons is our tax base is pretty low.
Yeah.
We have an inordinate number of not-for-profits in the city of Schenectady. There's pilot programs put on many of these businesses that come in here, and I don't fault any of that stuff, but there's a big share that gets put on the back of the people that pay taxes, and that's how that works. The tax levy stays the same. The city needs X amount of dollars to operate, so it's how that gets distributed. That's where it breaks down to the taxpayer. So we have to build our tax base. We have to get more people to want to live in Schenectady. And you gave me a good segue for that, because my personal feelings on this, and I said it, and now I see it's getting a little traction with the Gazette at least, is my initiative to improve quality of life in the city of Schenectady, because I think that is the key. The Mayor's Homes program is fine, but until we improve the quality of life in the city, it's very hard to entice people to want to live here, even with the higher taxes. Yes. A lot of people are okay. I wouldn't mind as long as I can get the service, I can feel safe in my home, and blah, blah, blah. But what's going on right now is a lot of people don't feel safe in their homes. Right. They don't want to see litter all over the streets. They don't want to see people walking in the middle of the street and challenging them when they drive down the streets. They don't want to see graffiti all over. It's just things that go on and on and on. Loud music. Most of the calls that I field are for quality of life issues. When people call me, and they can call me anytime, and that's a known fact, anytime, and I answer all my calls. If I don't answer my call, that means I'm not home, and I answer it when I get home. If it's left on my, they leave me a message. Right. But most of those calls are quality of life issues. Just about all of them are. So it tells you just what the importance is of this this issue, and I'm planning on meeting with the commissioner and police chief to see if we can at least start some enforcement. Just a campaign, even if it's for only 30 days, especially the litter. I'd like to see that addressed first, because that broken window theory works. It worked in New York City. It'll work here. People are people. And when there's no threat of penalty, let's face it, Joe, if there wasn't a threat of penalty with driving down the street with no speed limits, if it wasn't enforced at all, well, you know what would happen.
Of course, everybody would do it. So, and we see this not only at local level, we see it at national level too, where there are already things in the books, and I know that you had mentioned it to the commissioner. You mentioned it on your Facebook page about the littering. The codes are there.
They're there.
But how often are they enforced?
Correct.
I can't ever say that I've ever seen a litter thing in a litter.
It's been on the books for many years, Joe, and that's one of the things. Again, I realize our police department, they're swamped, just like our general service department is swamped with all the city-owned properties that we've taken over. I mean, if people, they call me all the time, this person's grass is too high. A lot of it's city-owned property. We're dealing right now with about 9 men to take care of all these properties, cut the grass, clear the snow, secure the house if it's a city-owned. It's we're overloaded. We really are. And so is the police department. But I do want, if they're patrolling and they see somebody roll down the window and throw something out the window, please pull them over and issue them a citation. That's what I want to see, at least short-term, like a seatbelt campaign or a cell phone campaign. Let's do it for littering. That's what people see when they come into the city of Schenectady. That's the first thing that catches people's eyes. And if you come up Albany Street, it's just awful.
Oh, yeah.
It's awful.
Albany State Street, along State Street, up over, just when you come into the, when you come over Route 7 there. And right along in that area, you see it all the time. And these are the gateways to the city.
Absolutely.
These are the gateways to downtown that people come and see.
And we have to change this mindset. And I've even addressed young classes in schools, about you shouldn't litter. It's not, you're not being a good citizen if you do that. And what it takes to be a good citizen. And basically, it's the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think that says it all. It's all about respect. Some of these young people, they think nothing of taking a bag of McDonald's when they're done with it and throwing it out the window. It happened right in front of my house many times. I pick up litter all the time. A friend of mine just toured Campbell Avenue, which is a fairly long city street. His SUV was full. He opened the doors. He showed me the doors. His tailgate opened up full. One street, just one tour. Full of litter. So again, I think it's great that neighborhood associations have cleanups. We need that. We need that volunteerism. But we also have to get the root of the problem, and that's people that litter. Because we could have cleanups every day of the week in the city of Schenectady, and probably many other cities. I'm only targeting the city of Schenectady because that's what I represent.
So now I'm glad that you're saying this here, Vince, and I'll tell you why. Because is it only the police that can issue these citations, or can code enforcement issue citations to people? Is there any other entities that can issue citations?
That I can't tell you until I meet with the chief and see if there is any other. Can a crossing guard do that? There's a lot of different ways. We have auxiliary police for the county. Can they be put on this patrol? Can the sheriffs be brought in to do this? So there's a lot of things that have to be looked into right now to see who can issue this. Would it be a hotline? Again, it's tough for the police to issue a citation for anything, from just if I call up and say, hey, a guy was speeding down my street. Maybe you could fill out a form and be a witness to that. I don't know if it would hold any water in court. So again, with the court system, they have to have something concrete to issue a citation. So I think I'd like to see the first step for police to be aware that even a cigarette butt out the window, it's littering. It's as simple as that. That's not biodegradable. Especially you were in the service.
Yes, I was.
You know what it was where they did, what do they call, field
KP.
KP. There you go.
When we go out and clean up, and you'd see cigarette butts.
I think they call it field stripping. That's
field
what a friend of mine called. They take the butt off and push the tobacco out on the ground and take the wrapper and the filter and put it in
their pocket. And that you could toss out. And many a time, and you'd see things, it takes years and years and years for the filters on the cigarettes to go
Oh, yeah,
away.
they're not biodegradable. Yeah. But again, I think we have to change the mindset of people. That's not an easy thing to do, but one thing that changes their mindset is if they get a citation.
Yes.
That makes them think twice about doing it again.
Well, and you see that with when people speeding, all of a sudden after they get that ticket, they slow down.
Yeah.
If they get a ticket for parking, which is a whole other, that could be a show in itself with all the parking violations that we have here in this city. What, almost $3.5 million worth of parking violations?
That sounds right to me. When I get the budget, I'll tell you what it is for 2015.
And one of the things I know that I had suggested was to farm that out, because even if we paid $50,000 for a company to come in and collect all, even if we collected half of that, the city'd still get a good chunk of change.
Whatever they could collect, they can collect. We have trouble collecting taxes from a lot of people, so it's far-reaching. People are hurting. That's the bottom line. A lot of people are hurting. They're at their wits' end. What we have, Joe, in the city too is, and I get emails, and so has the council. There's people that have been long-time residents in their homes, 40-year residents in their homes. They fell into some hard times. They fell behind a couple of years. And now all this American tax funding that we sold the liens back in 2005, right up to 2009 or 10. And I was one of the ones coming to the rail, as I did before I was elected at the council. I said, this is not a good idea. This is okay for a 1-year fix to get an influx of operating cash into the city, but long term it's not good. Well, lo and behold, that proved to be true, because now we're in court with ATF because they weren't paying any taxes either on those properties. They got the liens and then they fell behind on tax. So people that have been in their homes, they paid off ATF. They thought they were free and clear, but the taxes were still accumulating on their property. So what are we doing to keep people in their homes that have lived in their homes for a long time? We can entice new people to come in, but one lady made a good point. She's been in her home for 42 years or 43 years. Who are we going to replace her with? That's going to be a better person, a better taxpayer. So there's a lot of things that have to be addressed, and the administration is going to have their hands full with some of these things.
Yes, they are, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when, especially since next year is the mayoral race, and to see what happens with that, because if I'm not mistaken, the mayor has decided to hold off on doing any reassessments here in the city.
He is going to propose something in the 2015 budget, whether it's going to be done piecemeal, how it's going to be done. I mean, there's no question in my mind, being the chair of claims, that we needed a reassessment in the city of Schenectady. The role is skewed so badly from the last time it was done that it's just out of whack, and those that haven't been granted relief are paying more than their fair share.
Yeah, and we're seeing that. In fact, Linda and I are going through that. We have a court date coming up to go through with that ourselves. We've seen some of the larger businesses get their reassessments done.
That's through tax search. I don't know if you're doing a small claims or a tax cert.
Small claims.
Small claims. Yeah, that's more informal. Just so you know. Okay. So that's a different process than a tax cert. Most of the commercials go through tax certs. So that's a different ball game. But we have to grant a lot of relief because the numbers don't prove anything but.
Exactly.
And that's it.
Right. Well, Vince, I want to go through a couple of the events happening this weekend and coming up here, like the farmers market in Bellevue is still going on. Some folks were. Did you make it out there yesterday?
Yes.
You did. And because Linda went out there and brought me home some dinner, and I was very happy about that. So that was nice. But that's still going on. We've got the Bellevue Farmers Market is on Broadway over at Maranatha Ministries, and they go on through September at least. You also see the Green Market that continues, and that continues year-round. Sheridan Plaza goes on as well. So make sure you get out and visit out some of these farmers markets. There are some street closures in the city, so be careful as you make your way around Knott Terrace and Union Street. You've got a closure over that way, and you've got road work being done on Knott Street. Right alongside Union College there, so be careful over that way. And parking lots are going to reopen at Liberty and Franklin. That reopens on Tuesday the 2nd. Check out the Schenectady, the Downtown Schenectady Improvement Corporation's website. They've got lots of events, including tonight, August 29th at 7 p.m. at MySci, The Lego movie is the family movie night over that way. That's always a lot of fun that they have over that way. And plenty of events happening here in Schenectady. Make sure you stop by, get by some of them, and let us know about them too here at Schenectady Online. We want to know about it. We'll post it up on our site too, so that we can let other people know. And if you're out and about or need to know where to go to meet other people and see things, there's an organization called the Capital Region Off the Couch Gang, which I've been proud to organize now for going on 3 years. And we've got about 1,300 members. Check it out at meetup.com and look for Capital Region Off the Couch Gang. Once again, I want to thank Councilman Vince Riggi for being out here. Vince, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Don't forget next weekend, as far as events, next weekend, the 5th, 6th, and 7th is the biggie. That's the Greek Festival.
The Greek Festival, yes.
Little Italy, and the Art Festival in the Stockade. So that's a big weekend.
Yes, and I knew you'd get Little Italy in there.
I have to. I'm proud of my heritage. I wear it on my sleeve.
Yes, you do, and quite often. And with my Italian and Irish heritage too, I'll definitely be down over that way. We used to do the festival up in Saratoga all the time. It's been a pleasure to be here with you today. Thanks for being with us once again, and check us out anytime online at sacc.tv. For Schenectady Online, I'm Joe Kelleher. Thanks for being with us.